Okay, so next up on the things that I want to show that we have here at the lab is this thing. Now, this is a Lego Mindstorm, and for those that don't know, so everyone knows what a Lego is. Essentially, those small building blocks that you can use to build just about anything. And Mindstorms are an extension to what building capabilities you can do with Lego. It essentially turns your Lego structure into some sort of it basically turns your Lego into a robot. So you end up with stuff like this, all your mobile vehicles or humanoid robots, stuff like that. And what we have here is an EV3, which, so as you can see here, an EV3, which is essentially a differential drive mobile robot. It's a beginner's version of a differential drive mobile robot, and we call this differential drive because of the two wheels that you can see here and this caster wheel. So to explain what a differential is, a differential so it's mostly an automotive term. So when your car has to take a turn, the wheels on the outer side of the turn rotate more than the wheels on the inner side of the turn. If in case your let's say your car is turning this side, so the inner side rotates less than the outer side, and this is made possible because of something called a differential, which allows the power transfer to happen unequally. And the same principle is mimicked in this with the use of two different motors. So in case your robot needs to turn left, for example, so the left wheel of the robot would turn less than the right wheel, which would turn much more to make the robot turn left, and vice versa in case you want to turn right. You also have something called a zero radius turn. So a zero radius turn is essentially your robot essentially spins around in place. So there is literally no radius to the circle that you're making while you're turning, and that is made possible by rotating one wheel one way and rotating the other wheel the other way. So either your left goes forward and your right wheel goes behind, or the other way around. Coming to how this is programmed now, mostly when we deal with beginner robots at our level, it would be an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi, so that uses embedded C or Python or something like that. But when it comes to Lego Mindstorm, so Lego Mindstorms are essentially, they're built for little kids who just want to get started robotics and want to explore what this field actually has. So we use something called Scratch, which is this drag and drop based programming language, which you can use to essentially just, it's like a recipe book for cooking, if that's an analogy. And so it looks something like this. This is the EV3 home app for that made by Lego Mindstorms, and so that is what the setup looks. How you program the robot using Scratch, and you end up dragging and dropping sequences, loops, if conditions, and everything. And once the code is done, you can set it into this EV3. You have a USB port or an SD card in which you can load all your EV3 programs. And we've used this mostly to demonstrate line following, since it's very easy to do over here, and a bit some of the other basic mobile robot applications. So this sensor over here, this detects, it can distinguish black from white. So essentially the same thing as what you would see on any other Arduino based mobile robot, but it's just a Lego Mindstorm version. And the advantage that this has over your usual Arduino Raspberry Pi based version is, first of all, it's completely clean, so to speak. So as you can see here, there are no extraneous jumper wires or stuff like that you would see in any makeshift road that some hobbyist who's just starting out would make using an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi. So for little kids, it's a very good introduction to what the field is supposed to be, because while you're programming the robot using Scratch, so advantage of Scratch is that you don't have to deal with all your nitty gritty syntax stuff that you would have to break your head over when you're doing C or C++ or Python, for example. So as a little kid, you'd be able to more get yourself more acquainted with what the various functions there are, what are the various data structures, like say what's a loop, what's a if condition, else condition, stuff like that. So it's a much better introduction to robotics, and I would definitely recommend anyone who has young children to start off with something like that.